The goals of this video are to look at an example of a bad rubric, look at examples of newly developed rubrics created by your colleagues using the UDL planner, and get ready to design for today's design activity. Here's an example of a bad rubric. You'll see that each of these is a learning target. However, we do not have a goal stated right here or a standard that relates to each of these learning objectives. Then you'll notice that in each level of the rubric, it is blank. This does not allow the students to reflect on where they are in the rubric and how to get to the next level. This could not be used as a formative assessment at all with the students because they are unable to see where they are and unable to see what they need to do to move forward. And finally, the teacher would be completely subjective.
Moving on to the next part here, we've got an example of the planner that you've been using throughout this school year. And just showing you this to give you an idea of how you could use the planning process to create your assessment, be it formative or summative, the rubric that you might be working on today. If I scroll down here, you'll see the spot for your standard, and we've done this many times already this year, but here the teacher's standard, and this is a freshman history or freshman English teacher's planner, where she's got in here, determine an author's purpose and analyze how an author uses rhetoric to advance that purpose. That is the standard. If you go down here further, you can see she's broken down the language of that standard and used that language to create 3 goals here for her students, right? All using this planner. Now, what we're seeing here is not her creating an assessment for all of these goals, but she has selected one goal or learning target to create an assessment for. And that learning target is this: students will understand the importance of figurative language in determining the author's purpose. If we move down to the next part of the planner here, we see assessments. And what we're really looking at here is taking that learning target and really defining what we will accept as evidence of student mastery of that particular goal. In this case, we're creating a formative assessment based on a rubric. As we go back to the presentation here, we'll bring up the rubric as a result of that planning. And again, you can see the standard on top. You can see the criteria, which is really the goal that she created for her students. And then you can see that she's created different levels of performance here, from advanced down to developing, clearly defining them, where a student could be given feedback at any point in the process on where they are, perhaps if they're proficient, and then maybe how to move to advanced. It can be really used as a teaching tool rather than just an assessment tool. And if you look underneath here, I think she's done something really smart, where she's already anticipated that some students may start at this advanced level. They may not need this rubric or this guidance. So she's giving them options for what they could do if they show mastery right away. Again, the standard is on top. The goal, which was created in the planner, is the criteria, and then she's simply leveled that by using language.
Here we have a Phi-Ed standard broken down and then a rubric that accompanies that standard. So you can see that compass use, geocaching application, and more importantly, team skills are part of the goals in this unit. You see advanced, proficient, approaching, and developing. Each of them well defined, can be used as a formative assessment with students. Now, I know that at the middle school and high school, we need to give an A, B, C, or D. To do this with the use of a rubric, you create an analytical rubric like this. You would give advanced 4, proficient 3, approaching 2, developing 1. Each line would be worth 4 points. You would add those up and divide by, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to be going by 16, and you would get your score, which would relate to A, B, C, or D grades.
Going to the next example here, we've got a math rubric from a sophomore math class. And again, on the top, we've got this goal, which is again based on the standard. Students will be able to explain the concept of volume for 3-dimensional solids. It's a 1-line rubric, so again, probably best used for formative assessment. The criteria is the goal that's above, and then basically taken that goal and broken it down and really determined for students what would we accept as mastery of this goal. By creating the advanced column here, we're looking at what is mastery and defining that for students. By looking at proficient, we are also kind of looking at mastery with a little bit less, and then we move down, and the language kind of tells the student where they're at, and more importantly, why. So that if they want to move up, and our goal is always improvement, how they could move up using this rubric, getting that feedback from their teacher.
Finally, we have a 5th grade science standard. So this is going along with the NGSS science standards. So the standard is below: support an argument that gravitational forces exerted by the Earth on objects is directed down. So you've broken down into a concept goal at the top, and then below is to support an argument. These both come from the NGSS. You have different levels right there. What we enjoy about this rubric is that it's an I can statements, so the students are very easily able to also self-reflect on their progress and work with the teacher to get to the different levels in the rubric.